I don't know, the last time, is when I made a video. I honestly almost forgot that I did it, that I made those videos, which is honestly quite surprising considering I recorded myself almost every day for like a month, or like every other day for like a month, maybe like 2 months. And now, I don't know, I don't think I've done it in like 2 weeks, maybe 3. I was busy with school, and I've been doing better. But I wouldn't be making these videos if I wasn't going worse or something. Yay. Good job on me. Oh my god. Oh. So yeah, I had my last class with him 2 weeks ago or something. It's weird. It's really weird. He didn't look that great on the day that we had our last class. And then he left quite quickly. Well, I was still talking to the teacher, and I was sitting close to the entrance, so he did actually walk alrighty straight past me. And that was it. However, I did see him last Wednesday, actually. And a couple of times afterwards. Actually, we were still, at some point, working in the same classroom together. With his girlfriend. Oh my god. So yeah, I know I've recorded a video when she texted me. And I think I've recorded a video afterwards, but I'm not sure if I actually said anything about that we talked. But we talked for like an hour. And then she was like, I'm stalking you. And I was like, girl, I know. I'm stalking you as well. And then I was like, yeah, do you actually want to become friends? But usually half the time when you say these things, it's also kind of like, we're gonna say these things, but we're gonna just be acquaintances. Girl is serious about that. So we talked again like a week ago at this point. Like a week and a half ago. Because I was working at school for like 2 seconds. And actually had nothing to do. And then there was like this free books at the library. So like we checked it out. Like we talked for like an hour. It was a little bit awkward. But then I was like, oh, if you want to like exchange books at some point, like loan each other's books. So then we followed each other on Goodreads, which is funny because the only things that like she stalked a lot of me, like my Minecraft skins. I was like, all right, girl, all right. But she couldn't find my Goodreads because honestly it was on private for a long while, and then also it's just not really findable for some reason. And I couldn't get into her Instagram because, well, obviously it wasn't private. We followed each other already on Instagram. And then I was like, oh, we can follow each other on Goodreads. So now we have access to the one things that we didn't actually had access to previously. However, me and my ex, her boyfriend, we did unfollow each other on Spotify and also Pinterest. So she cannot exactly find that quickly back. But she has ways. I know that she has. And I can still find her quickly back. But that's like besides the point. But yeah, then she was like, oh, this book, do you want to loan it? And it was Jane Eyre. And funny enough, on like that same Friday that like we talked, I went out shopping with my friend. And we were in the English bookstore and there were like her friends there as well. And I was talking about like, oh, I really want to like read Jane Eyre because it's like my favorite book. And then she texted me later that like being like, oh, you want to loan this book? I've had it in my library and like in my bookshelf for like ages. Your friends didn't even tell her anything about that, so that's kind of funny. And then she was like, oh, we can hang out on like Tuesday and like we can go to the park. You can invite some friends. So then I invited that friend and my other bestie high school and bestie tree. And then it was so awkward sitting in the park at first because we were like, all right. Because also she didn't really know how much they knew and was like, well, told them everything. And at some point we started talking about my ex. And then like things became a bit more comfortable. So now she knows. Okay, actually, I wrote it already down in my diary. Like, I talked a lot about this, but I just need to give the context. So, June 17, I wrote in my diary. This was the day that we also hung out, which is exactly 7 months after me and him broke up. So I said, fascinating girl. I spent 8 hours today with her and my friends, hanging out in the park talking. I'm really tired, so I'm gonna give bullet points. My ex wanted to catch up with me at our classes. She is extremely insecure and at some point commented on everything my ex did. He told her to stop because he was like, okay, you're making me feel like I'm doing everything wrong. And then he said that he was like that in his past relationship. So like my relationship, he was that insecure. But the difference is that like he never really voiced it out loud. Or he was like, yeah, no, I'm like overthinking, but like I trust you, it's fine. So I never realized how insecure, like I feel like she's so much more insecure. She didn't meet his dad or his Hungarian friends because she went to Hungary. He is from Hungary. And we were talking about it. Because she also was like, oh yeah, I'm scared of dogs. And like, he is a dog, he loves the dog. And she didn't like the dog sleeping in the bed. She was like, ugh. And I was like, yeah, girl, same, their hair's everywhere. She was like, yeah. She absolutely didn't like it. Like, I didn't mind that much. I wasn't the biggest fan, but it was nice. But then I was like, oh, because she commented like, she had like a pride pin on her back. And he was like, yeah, maybe you should take it off because it's Hungary. And then she was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. Which I can understand where she's coming from, but like I would take it off. But that's also, she's from like a bigger city here in the Netherlands. So she also said like, oh, like the uni town that we live in, she finds it a lot more right leaning than like left. And like me and my friends, all from small town, rural area, where it's so much more right. We were all like being like, oh, we found it quite liberating here. So that's also like, I would never argue being like, if somebody tells me in their country like, hey, take off your like pride things, I would be like, yeah, fair enough, I don't want to start any problems. Because like I'm from an area where, yeah, this is accepted, but also I'm always a little bit scared because there's a lot more right leaning since the rural area. But she's from a big city where it's very, very left. So then I think I asked her like, oh, did you meet his friends? And she was like, no, I didn't. Like, did you? And I was like, yeah, be warned. Because one of them is like racist and like homophobic and like very active. So like, truly my experience there last summer was barely understanding any conversation because everything was in Hungarian, and the one conversation I could understand, the guy was shit talking the Olympic opening. Not my ex. He was great, but also the friends are a little. So he was also like, oh, I don't want to that anybody knows that like he was there because he didn't want to meet his friends when they go to his dad, which was, honestly, I'm not that surprised, but also kind of funny because I met his friends like 3 times, his dad wise. So then I also was like, I think she asked, or like I mentioned, but then she was like, oh, you met his dad? And I was like, yeah, you didn't? She was like, no, we want to keep that a secret. And I was like, oh, alright, well, his dad is nice, but you're not gonna understand anything. And I was like, oh, but I heard his dad is a little bit like, and I was like, yeah, that's true. But when you're there, he's nice, he asks you about things. So I'm not sure how much he liked that. But to be fair, I am the only girl he has ever brought to his dad. Like, even his high school girlfriend, or like the girlfriend before that, he has never brought any girl to his dad except for me. Oopsies. Anyways, she... yeah, we talked just a bit about Hungary and stuff. And I was like, oh yeah. I think either, like, because my friends were still there, and the only thing that I have told them about, like, his house was, like, the bathtub, like, because, God, it's such a great bath. And I was like, like I sent him a picture being like, this is like such an amazing bath. And then she was like, yeah, that's so true. But she was like hating on the fact that like, like I was like, oh yeah, it's such a pretty bath and stuff. And she was like, yeah, it was like kind of impractical to like with showering and things. And I was like, yeah, that's true. But no, it's fine. So maybe she's just a little bit more of a hater than that I am, because it's inconvenient, but it's whatever. It's fine. So yeah. Maybe I am actually a lot more easygoing than that she is. Because she was so insecure that she was commenting on everything that I was doing. And I barely have ever done that. So, because I'm your dream bride. Anyways, because I tell my best friends everything. Sometimes we would mention, like, kind of like the first girlfriend that he had, which he proposed to break up. And so me and my friend were like looking at each other being like, we cannot mention that, we do not know how much she does. And then at some point we were talking about her exes, and that she also she stalked the ex before me, going to his Instagram likes and finding that. And he was like, oh, I don't even know if she has Instagram. And she was like, no, she does. She does. And I was like, damn girl, I didn't even know their names. I didn't care that much. I never cared. Maybe I should, just for funsies. Anyways. Then she was like, oh no, he did tell me that like he proposed to this girl, but he was hoping to say no. And then I was like, yeah, well, they dated for like 4 years, and then like friends with benefits, and got back together. And then I was like, well, I want to kind of break up, but he didn't know how. So then he proposed, and then he gave the ring too. I don't know if I don't think I said that he gave the ring to the second girl, but that she mentioned like, yeah, it was like a little bit like, that he already proposed like for us and stuff. And then I was like, yeah. I didn't tell her that the bit that we had going on was that he was always fake proposing to me. Like that was the thing before I even knew, because like he told me a year and a half in, like so late, and I was just laughing. He was like, oh my god, I'm so ashamed. I'm like, oh my god, that's so funny. That's so funny, babe. That's so funny. But yeah, the thing that we had going on was fake proposing, which really cute. She stalked me insanely. Yet again, like when me and Max followed each other on Spotify, she stalked my friend that she didn't even know his name of through Instagram to find my Spotify, and she was like, I need to stop. And then she texted me. Which also, several people know that she's been insanely obsessed with me, including one of her closest friends here who lives with my ex. And then also her parents. And all of them told her like, hey, maybe you should talk to her. The girl that she told, she was like, so in like maybe you can play it off like in a feminism way. I was like looking out for you. I'm like, that's so funny. But her parents know. And also like, I think her parents, I think she told her parents because she wants to move into the same building. Now, after we talked, I was like, oh my god, the building is great. She was like, you know what, yeah. But she already knew that I lived there because of my ex. So then she told her parents like, yeah, this is a building, but like, the ex of my boyfriend lives here. And her parents were like, well, what if you just text her to ask if you can see it? And then she was like, because back then we didn't talk. So that's pretty interesting. She didn't know that I only got told about them 5 minutes before our shared class. Because I'm gonna pause this because I actually need to go to the bathroom. Okay, I'm back. I actually didn't even need to say anything because you don't really mention it. Except for now, I forgot what I was talking about. This is so stupid. Oh yeah, so she didn't know that I got told 5 minutes before our shared class about them. Because she knew, because like we met up literally like 10 minutes before we had the class. I gave back his stuff and I was like, oh, you know, how are you doing? And she was like, good. And like we walked over to the kind of the room, waiting in front of it. And for me, she arrived. I said like hi, and he said like hi, and then she was like, oh, I need to get to the bathroom. And I was like, all right. I was like, oh, nice, you know his friend. I want to be chill with him. And then he was like, oh yeah, I should probably tell you we're dating, or like I'm dating her. I'm like, okay. Since when? I was like, oh, it's like officially like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, and in my head I was like, that's not what I meant. I meant, did you cheat on me? But I panicked. I had no idea what to say, so then I told him about the English guy. Kind of, and I was like, but we're not official. Anyways, she came back and I was like, but for her, because she knew that he wanted to talk to me like properly at some point, because this was like the second time we talked since the breakup, like not over text, and the first time was also really awkward and really short. So for her, she was like, she came down and she was like, okay, maybe they're like talking already. And she also actually needed to go to the bathroom. But she didn't know when I was told. Like, she didn't realize I was told in that moment. And then my friend, because at this point we were at my house, having dinner, and like high school bestie left, so like bestie 3 was here. And she was like, and I said like, oh no, I was texting them in like the meantime. So then bestie 3, she like pulled out the text with my consent, and she started reading them out loud, a couple of them, but she censored them because I think we were a little bit mean. And I was sitting right in front of her. She also felt extremely awkward sitting behind me. And then she thinks actually that our teacher put me and my ex in a group together. Which I was halfway through the semester, I was thinking like, huh, did that happen? And so she thinks that actually happened. So might want to ask the teacher about it. Because also, everybody was gone for like a whole semester, and everybody knew that I was dating him. Like, everybody knew that we were dating each other, because like we went to school events a couple of times. Like, I was in a class higher than him, but we went to school a couple of times, like events. We have kissed in hallways. It was pretty clear. It was very clear that we were dating. We were a thing. And like, we also were a thing for like so long. For at least like a whole year actually at school, like a year and a half. So then when everybody came back, like they had internships, they had like this game, and a week before that game, January 28th, my ex and his new girl started officially dating. So then they were kind of like flirting in that game, and people were already looking at them, being like, huh? So including that teacher, she was also there. She was also like looking at them. And one girl, bless her heart, she at some point went up to my ex, not when his girl was around, but like went up to his ex and was like, so how's your girlfriend? And he was like, yeah, so we broke up, and now I'm dating her. And then that girl was like, yeah, I sensed something. It's completely random, like a random guy, the other Hungarian guy in his class. I talked to him 1 week ago on Monday, and then I also was to him like, oh, you're from Hungary, right? Like, are you gonna go home? And he was like, yeah, how do you remember that? And I was like, so I dated the other Hungarian in your class? And he was like, oh yeah, I already thought so. I was like, yeah. So a lot of people knew me just by him, which added to the crush out of my life. But yeah, so she didn't know that I only found out then. And then I also told her, like, I'm glad that I found out then, and not the next day on Valentine's Day when you shared a Snapchat, like an Instagram story. Because I do not know what I would have done. I may have texted him or called him up. I would have been like, what the fuck? Also on that, she was like, yeah, like, he reposted my stories. That's like so happy. Like, the guy that I dated before that never did that. And in my head I was like, girl, with me he always made his own post. What do you mean he's only reposting things with you? Like, I've already noticed it. Because also with the Valentine's thing, whenever I would be like, oh, happy 6 months, like 1 year anniversary, he would always make his own post as well, usually after me. But still, man only reposts. Man is so dead. But I didn't tell her that, because I didn't want to be a bitch that much. Yeah, so I asked her, when did you guys start officially dating? Because like I was always wondering about that since I came home February 1st, and that's also when I saw him. And I was always wondering, like, were they already dating before that? Were they dating on the same day or like afterwards? It was January 28th, which was when I actually went up to Arthur's Peak, and I was sat there for half an hour being like, I'm gonna leave the love behind on Arthur's seat. And then the whole breakup came back to me so hard. I spiraled out, clearly. But now that's a little interesting thing, that when we met on February 1st, he was already dating her, and he didn't tell me. And literally that day, my dad asks me, like, oh, how was he? Are you guys back together? And I was like, no, we barely talked. I have no idea. And also that same evening, because I had quite some stuff at this place since we lived together, and I had like period pads there still. And then I was like, oh, he didn't keep them. I guess he doesn't have a new girl yet. Because like in my head I was like, you would keep them since something a girl uses. And then I was shot 57 times. So yeah, she did remember. She, like, when she said like, oh no, we started dating January 28th, like one, and like I don't remember the exact wording she said, but she basically was like, yeah, like you guys dated like February 28th, so like at some point he's gonna mix that up. And I was like, well, January is before February, so I, like, at least with the 1 year anniversary, he's not gonna mess it up because it's earlier. And also in my head I was like, why do you remember when we started dating? 2, why would you be scared of him messing it up? Girl is insecure. Also, how did she remember? Like, because I mean, she followed him on Instagram beforehand, but like, I don't remember random people's anniversary dates. Also, like, they got together in like November. Like, did she ask, like, oh, when did you guys get together? And it was like February 28th. It's like, So I do not know. I do not know what goes on in that girl's mind. Anyways, I also asked her, like, oh, what does he think about like me and her being friends? Because I was a little bit concerned that he felt like uncomfortable and stuff, and like that's the one thing, I just want the best for him. I also told her this, like, I just want the best for him. If that's without me, then it's without me, but like I just want the best for him. That's like the whole reason also kind of why I broke up. And then she was like, no, he finds it funny. And like also they joke now about it, because like we have such similar interests. So whenever she tells something about like The Sims or like Taylor Swift that he already knows, then she'll be like, oh, like, no, Taylor Swift, blah blah blah. And he's like, oh yeah, yeah. And then she'll be like, how do you know that? And he's like, oh, I don't know. I know, they have like a joke about that. So it's good that they can joke about that now. Because they're brother when they went through a rough patch and they've been only dating for 5 months. That wasn't the case with me, babes. That wasn't the case with me. Yeah, she also, fucking dumbass. Sorry. He already told her, like, oh, you know, I've never broken up with anybody. And then she also was like, yeah, it's a little, And I was like, yeah, it kind of puts a lot of pressure on us. And I think on one hand, it's nice to hear, but the other hand, it's a little bit like, it puts pressure on us. Because like you just want the guy who will walk away when it isn't serving him right anymore. Like, you do not want to be in control of all of that. So that's also what I struggle with. Because if I knew that he would just walk away when he wouldn't be happy with it anymore, maybe I would have just stayed instead of being like, oh my god, I'm hurting him and he's never gonna leave, because like he never breaks up. But it's fine. That's fine. She has memorized several of my Instagram posts, including the one with the English guy, which she mentions every time we mentioned him. She also saw us walking around on school. Because like, if you're flirting a little bit with him again, I've been messy, babes. I've been messy. I know. Oh my, so much to talk about in 1 week. But so, and cause I called with him till like 5:30 a.m. On Monday. Well then, 5:30 a.m. was on Tuesday, and like at Tuesday we were hanging out in the park. Me and my friends, we mentioned him like a couple of times, just like name drops, being like, oh yeah. And at some point I was like, yeah, we talked till like 5:30 a.m. But I mostly talked to like sent her message, but like she was also still in the room, and then she every single time she would be like, oh, is that like the guy from like your Instagram post? And I was like, yeah. And I didn't really give her much else. She did say, it's like, oh yeah, you guys are like not official. I don't like, no. Or at least like he told her, because I told him. Like I was like, oh yeah, no, I'm not dating him officially. Like it's not official. And so she also knows that. And then she also mentioned like, oh yeah, I saw you guys like walking around. Then I was like, yeah, because he was there. Great day. And then I got drunk and then he kissed my friends. So yeah, I told her I just wanted the best for him. And she told me that she knew that he really liked me. Which I then also responded like, yeah, I know. Which has set me back several steps. I was listening to Stranger by Olivia Rodrigo on Monday. And the next day I was like, ooh, just the thing that he wanted to catch, because like, in our shared class with the shared project, on some days, actually like eventually, he would always start off sitting in the class next to her. And then the teacher would be like, you know the drill, sit with your group. Which I don't think they memorized any of the groups, except for me and him together. And then he would move over to my place. And then he would just stay there. And in my head, I always was like, girlie can just sit next to me. Because she was always sitting on the opposite fucking side of the room. And that made me feel very insecure. And she was like, no, I was insecure. I didn't want to be around that. And I was like, fair enough. But then she got insecure at some point. Because like we were just like talking and joking around. And she was like, yeah, why are you always like sitting with your ex in that class? Like, why don't you move back like everybody else? And he was like, well, I just want to catch up with her as well. Because like we ended things on really good terms. So he also just wants to catch up with me. So the things I've learned is that he did actually still care about me. Which I've been, I think, mostly crashing out about. Amidst several other things. In the past month. And yeah, she knew that he really liked me, which I think everybody did. So yeah, I mean, it's good to know that we both just really care about each other. And even like when I sent a voice message to him back in March, like right before I started these video diaries, he also said like, yeah, I'm happy to hear like you healing and everything. And then I went back and forth a million times, but hopefully I didn't really bother him that much anymore. Yeah. But now this I also invited her to my birthday, and she's not gonna come. But yeah, it's very interesting to hear how insecure she was, because she was very insecure. And it's good to hear that he's been setting boundaries, but now it also makes more sense when I asked him like, oh, how's it going? And he was like, good. But I don't know if that was the same period when she was really insecure, because I think it was since it was like a week before she messaged me. So poor dude had an insecure girlfriend and his ex being like, oh, how's your relationship going? Sorry. But then he also said like, oh, I'm a lot more confident now. And I was like, oh, in my head I was like, why is he suddenly so much more confident with me? It's just because his girlfriend is more insecure. Because I always was confident. But then I also told her, like, yeah, you should just trust him. I didn't want to say, like, oh, you should just trust that he likes you. Because I'm not that over him. And it still makes me want to throw up. But yeah, now I'm kind of... like, good that they're happy. She's really nice. She actually wants to be friends with me, but at the same time, I'm like, bitch, if you don't start enjoying your time with him, I'm gonna be mad. Because, like, I am jealous. I am jealous of her dating him. Because, yet again, when I fell in love with him, happiest period of my life. Absolutely happiest period of my life. I felt so peaceful for the first time in my entire life. Like, genuinely, I was high in life. I was so happy. And at some point in these past couple of months, I was like, oh my god, I am glad that somebody else can experience this love as well. Because, like, they deserve it. And now Curly has been so insecure about it. That, like, I don't think she's appreciating it to the fullest. And I'm just like, bitch, you better start enjoying it. You better start enjoying it. But, I mean, I think they're doing good. And also, to be fair, I don't really want to know all of the fucking details about how good they're doing, because that would also drive me insane. It's clear I'm still not over him. Yeah, that's also actually why I started this thing, because I was getting sad, and I was like, at what point will it stop? I was doing better last week, and then I hear news, and I'm like, oh. Also, you looked so good on Wednesday. I also looked good. But on Wednesday we had like drinks at school. We didn't talk. I only said hi to her very quickly. But he looked good. He left early. Then I had a great time with my friends at the bar. And now I won't see him. Jesus Christ, wait. That actually hasn't settled in because I was so busy with literally everything else. I'm not gonna see him. There's such a, like, I do not know. I genuinely do not know the next time I'm gonna see him. And I do not see him around in town. One time, we were apparently in the same park at the same time and I was walking past, but I was fucking blinded by the sun. So, don't know what the universe is telling me. But I am also kind of enjoying my time, being very social, doing random things. I went out clubbing, got attention from guys, didn't do anything with it because I was like, not really interested in me. So many guys that were shorter than me. I ain't doing that. So yeah, I'm just a little bit in a weird limbo where like everything is just weird. I wish he was meaner so it would be easier to get over him. He has been more like touchy with her in school when I was sitting right there. I think after, actually I do not know if she told him, but it was after I told her, being like, yeah, I'm so glad you guys are not touchy and everything in front of me, because I would go through it. I can handle you guys like walking off, but I swear to God, if you're being touchy, I will kill myself. I'm not gonna do that, but and then he has been doing that a little bit. I've tried to ignore it, but I kinda had suspicions in the corner of my eye. So I don't know if he's doing that just because he wants to, or because he wants to make me jealous. I don't know. Because I mean, we were always kind of touchy at school. Not incredibly much. But you know, just like we would kiss each other goodbye before class. Or just sit right next to each other. Man's on us. He's always on my radar. He also still hasn't deleted the shared playlist that we have. Or the shared photo album. Like, I'm sure Girly will find out eventually. I don't think Girly is gonna like it. But I'm not gonna delete them. because I am not the nicest person. And I am also still not over him. So, because like a girl was like, yeah, I stalked your whole entire Spotify, like the Spotify stuff, and now I cannot find it. And like she needs to do a lot of effort to find my Spotify, and I was like, I didn't have the heart to tell her that I can still look at hers easily, because we didn't delete those shared playlists. I still have access to everything of her. I don't tell her that. I like to watch, I don't like being watched. So she also told me, like, yeah, funny, like, watches your things like once or twice or something. I've been watching her stuff every day still. It's just like curious, I'm just curious. Just fascinated by her. But to everybody who's been saying like, oh no, I have told actually multiple people her insane behavior. Way too many people actually, sorry girly. And they were all being like, okay, she's insane. And I was like, yeah. So for people have been, like, first as a joke, being like, oh my god, you should date her. And I was like, yeah. And I told him that, because I, at that point, told him everything. So he told her that. And Michelle was doing like, yeah, I'm gonna, like, go with her. Now that I've met her more, I'm not doing that. She's so insecure. I'm scared of her with her stalking things. But also I told, like, an English friend was over. I told her all of this, like, from the last couple of months. And then she also was like, Thin Girl is in love with you? And like, she also was like, and they're still together? And I was like, yeah, they are still together. And then she was like, if they break up, when they broke up, whatever, she's gonna go after you. She's gonna hit you up. And I was like, yeah, that's a possibility. Because also, she literally said like, oh yeah, before me and her boyfriend, my ex, got together, she wanted to date a girl because she's bisexual. So, like, she didn't want to date a guy. And now she's dating a guy. So, wonder how long that's gonna last. Also because they're gonna go on vacation together in a week with all of his friends. They're gonna be with 7 people in one van. And then they're gonna be gone for like 2 weeks. So yeah, I wonder how that's gonna go. They're gonna come back on his birthday. I will wish him a happy birthday. Because, well, I have dated him for years. She also, like, she apparently only joined the friend group last summer when they were planning to go to a movie. And I do remember slightly something about that he was like, oh yeah, like, me and my friends are planning on going to a movie. Oh my god, I can stalk her letterbox to see which movie it was, because I already forgot. I don't remember if he actually went there, or if I just saw it on his phone, or if it was when I was in France. It was way too easy, babes. It's way too easy. How are she has uploaded more things. Is that much Inside Out 2? No, that was on his birthday. So much Crossroads. I don't think so either. That came out in 2002. I guess I do not know. I need to sneeze, so I paused it. Yeah, so she only joined the group chat back in the summer vacation. And before that, she did hang out like a couple of times when like her friend invited her. So I met her once. And then I also told her like, yeah, before this, like, they didn't really have weekly meetings or something, because like people would text being like, hey, you want to meet up? And then half the people wouldn't show up. And as always, I had told him multiple times like, oh, you should just like text your friends to hang out. And I was like, nah. I was like, so yeah, she also, because me and the besties, they have seen him a couple of times. And I think at some point they were like, oh yeah, we have never seen him sober. And I was like, no, you have. on your birthday, like on my birthday. And I think somebody else was like, oh, and like on Halloween. And I was like, no, on Halloween he got the drunkest. Then she was like, oh, I've never seen him drunk. And then high school bestie that started the conversation, she was like, oh, you one knows it. And then I also was like, yeah, he got sick. He used to drink a lot, but then he got sick of it, so. And then she also said like, yeah, he only drinks like a beer, like sometimes. And I was like, okay, that's good. So it's weird, because I slowly started to recognize when he would be drunk, and I very much know when he's stoned. She does not know that at all. Generally, I don't think it's gonna last. But I think they're both also maybe like anxiously attached. So I'm not sure if any of them will break up. But yeah, that's not my issue. I'm just hoping to get over him more. Anyways, thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I've been procrastinating so much things. Yay! Okay, bye bye.